Do you love hunting for rare coins, hoping to find a hidden gem worth a small fortune? Well, hold on to your hats because today we're diving deep into a coin that could change your life if you find one. I'm talking about the 2040 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and let me tell you, this penny could be worth up to $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, million. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but if you're lucky enough, this could be your jackpot. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this penny so special? Well, buckle up, because we're going to unpack all of that. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your coin jar and how to turn those pennies into big-time cash. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. Alright, so first things first, what is so unique about the 2040 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny? Why is this particular penny worth so much? Let's break it down. So, we all know about the penny, right? It's the coin that's practically worthless, the one that's always rolling around in the bottom of your pocket or rattling around in your car. But in 2004, the US Mint made a tiny change that led to something huge. If you've ever come across a 2040 penny with a double die obverse, then congratulations, you might be holding a multi-million-dollar coin in your hands. What's a double die obverse, you ask? Well, it's a minting error where the die used to stamp the penny wasn't perfectly aligned, causing the image of Abraham Lincoln on the front to be doubled. It's like the coin's portrait got a little too excited and decided to appear twice. It's not only rare, it's one of the most sought-after errors in modern US coinage. Now, before you rush to dig through your spare change, let's make sure you're looking at the right things. First off, check the mint mark. It should be a D on the bottom right of the coin. That means it was made in Denver. The double die effect happens on the obverse, which is the side with Lincoln's face. Take a good, close look at the word liberty and in God we trust. If you see a double image there, boom, you've got yourself a potential gold mine. But it's not just any double die that's worth big bucks. The condition of the coin matters, too. A penny that's in mint condition, meaning it has hardly any wear and tear, can fetch a serious amount of cash. That's why these pennies are so elusive. You might find one in your pocket change, but it's probably going to have a few scratches and dings. A penny in great condition, though? That's a whole different story. Now, let me share a quick personal story. I remember one time I was out at a yard sale, digging through a box of random junk, just hoping to find something cool. And guess what? I found a small jar of pennies, all just thrown in there like they were worthless. I didn't think much of it, but on a whim, I decided to sift through them. To my surprise, I pulled out a 2040 penny. It wasn't a double die, but the thrill of finding something that could be worth money made my heart race a little. I've since become a firm believer in never underestimating what might be hiding in a box of old pennies. Always check your coins. The 2004 Lincoln penny with the double die error is a rare gem, and finding one could set you up for life. Of course, it's not going to happen every day, but you never know when luck will strike. And remember, the coin world is full of hidden treasures waiting to be found. If you're serious about coin collecting, or if you're just looking to get lucky, this is the kind of stuff you need to keep an eye out for. Trust me, your pockets could be filled with a fortune and not even know it. And if you want more tips on how to spot coins worth money, or strategies on building your coin collection, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of advice coming your way, and I don't want you to miss out on any future tips, tricks, and hidden coin treasures, so go ahead. Smash that subscribe button, drop a comment below telling me about the craziest coin you've ever found, and as always, keep hunting for those coins worth millions. You never know when your next big discovery is just around the corner. Have you ever thought you might find a hidden gem sitting in your pocket change? I know I didn't. In fact, I'm sure I've passed up on a few of them without even knowing. Today, I'm going to blow your mind with a penny, and not just any penny. Oh no. This is the 1968 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It's one of those coins that could make you a small fortune, or, in some cases, a huge fortune. And when I say huge, I mean the current market value of a 1968 no mint mark penny could be as high as $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right, million with an M. You might be looking at that penny in your pocket right now and wondering, is this the one? Is this my ticket to a yacht, or at least a nicer car? Well, hang on tight, because we're about to dive deep into why this penny is worth a king's ransom and how you might get your hands on one. Alright, first things first. The 1968 penny. Pretty standard looking, right? You see them every day, they're everywhere. I'm talking about the usual Lincoln Memorial on the back and Abe himself on the front. It's a copper penny, nothing too flashy about it, except for one little detail, the no mint mark. For those of you who don't know, the mint mark is that tiny little letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. Usually, you'll find a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, but in 1968, for reasons still a bit mysterious, some pennies were struck without a mint mark. This is where the excitement begins. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that's cool, but why does that make the penny so valuable? Here's the deal: rarity. A coin without a mint mark was a mistake, a fluke. And as we all know in the world of collecting, mistakes are valuable. I'll bet you didn't think that missing letter could make you a millionaire. Huh? Here's a fun little story. I remember the first time I found an old coin in my change. I was 16, standing at the local gas station, and I got a quarter back from my purchase. I looked at it, and it was one of those shiny old ones with the eagle on the back. I thought it was so cool, so I just stuck it in my wallet, figuring it was worth something. Fast forward a few months, and I found out it was actually worth a pretty good chunk of change, around $50. I thought I had struck it rich. Little did I know, that was peanuts compared to what I'd learn about rare coins later on. But getting back to this 1968 penny, the fact that so few were made without the mint mark makes them incredibly rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. But here's the catch. Not every 1968 penny without a mint mark is worth $1 million. The coin has to be in excellent condition. If it's beat up and full of scratches, it's not going to fetch much. You want something close to mint state, no pun intended, where it's as close to its original condition as possible. Some of these rare pennies have an interesting backstory or have been part of famous collections, which boosts their value. As with any collectible, there's a lot of interest in these pennies right now. The hype around rare coins has made these 1968 no mint mark pennies an incredibly hot commodity. It's amazing, right? Imagine stumbling upon a penny, thinking it's just another scrap of change, and then later finding out it's worth the price of a house. Or, more realistically, a yacht. It's like the story of finding hidden treasure, but with a whole lot less pirate ships and more numismatic research. And I know what you're thinking. Where do I find one of these bad boys? Well, keep an eye out when you're rummaging through your pocket change, or better yet, head to your local coin shop or check online coin auctions. But don't expect it to be easy. These are rare, and unless you've got a keen eye, it might take a while to track one down. The next time you dig around in your change, you might want to slow down a little and give those pennies an extra glance. Sure, most of them are just your everyday change, but every once in a while, you might find a treasure worth thousands or even millions. Before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm always here with tips, tricks, and strategies to help you become a coin expert and find coins worth a lot more than face value. Who knows? Maybe the next coin you find could be the next big thing. Don't miss out, hit subscribe, and let's keep this coin hunt going. Hey, coin collectors, history buffs, and those of you who just stumbled across this video, welcome. Now, before we dive into the wild world of rare pennies, I've got a question for you. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, it's just a penny, it's worth 1 cent, nothing special? Well, what if I told you that a single penny, one that looks just like any other penny, could be worth up to $1 million? Sounds like the stuff of legends, right? But I'm about to tell you the true story of the 1987 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard that right. A penny that could change your financial future. Now, let's break it down because, trust me, this penny is worth way more than the cost of a cup of coffee. Alright, so what makes this 1987 penny so special, and why does it hold the potential to put you on the map with $1 million coin? Well, let's start with the basics. In 1987, the US Mint struck billions of pennies. Seriously, they were cranking them out like it was a factory assembly line. But here's the thing. The US Mint typically puts a little mint mark on the coins to show where they were made. Usually, it's a tiny D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But in a weird twist of fate, some of the 1987 pennies ended up without any mint mark at all. And this tiny error, this little blank space, has created a coin so rare, it can sell for up to $1 million. How could a tiny mistake be worth that much? Well, here's the scoop. These 1987 no-mint mark pennies are considered to be a massive error in the production process. You see, when the mint accidentally left off the mint mark, it was a one-in-a-million kind of situation. They weren't supposed to make those errors, and the number of these coins that made it into circulation is incredibly small. So small, in fact, that finding one is like hitting the jackpot in the world of coin collecting. Let me share a quick personal story to really drive this home. A few years ago, I was at a flea market. Yeah, I know. I'm the type who spends their Saturday mornings hunting for rare coins in the most unlikely places, and I came across a little old lady who was selling a jar of pennies for $5. I sifted through them, and nothing too exciting caught my eye. I almost walked away. But, you know what? Something made me stop and double-check one of the pennies in the jar. I had a hunch it was a rare one, but it turned out to be a regular 1983 penny. Still, it got me thinking. How often are we overlooking valuable coins because we don't know what to look for? You could be sitting on $1 million penny and not even realize it. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of finding these elusive 1987 no-mint mark pennies. First off, you need to be looking for a 1987 penny that doesn't have any mint mark. Yep, you'll need to grab your magnifying glass or a good old-fashioned loupe and start checking those pennies. Now, keep in mind that not every penny from 1987 without a mint mark is worth a fortune. If it's in poor condition, it's going to be worth a lot less. But if it's in mint condition, unscathed, shiny, and looking like it just rolled off the press, it could be worth hundreds of thousands or, in rare cases, up to $1 million. There's a bit of mystery surrounding this penny. Some people have claimed to have seen or even owned one, but they're not easy to come by. Some say that the mint just didn't produce that many of them, while others argue that they were released into circulation by accident. Either way, the chances of finding one are slim, but not impossible at so. If you're out there digging through change jars, scrolling through eBay, or just glancing through your spare change when you're waiting for your coffee, keep an eye out for this little treasure. Remember, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. So, to wrap up, folks, the 1987 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the most elusive and valuable coins in existence. It's a needle in a haystack, a jackpot for any coin collector who's lucky enough to stumble upon one. But even if you don't find $1 million penny lying around, don't forget that there are still tons of other coins worth some serious cash, so keep your eyes peeled. And hey, if you want to keep discovering tips on what coins might be hiding in your collection or what treasure you might be walking around with, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of strategies to help you spot rare coins, learn about their value, and maybe, just maybe, find your own $1 million penny. Trust me, this could be just the beginning of your coin hunting journey. So let's do this together. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment with your favorite rare coin or your craziest coin hunting story. And remember, I'll see you next time with more tips and tricks to turn your change into treasure. Have you ever looked at your pocket change and thought, could this penny be worth more than I paid for my morning coffee? Well, if you have a 1963 penny with no mint mark, you might be sitting on a literal gold mine worth over $1.1 million. Yep, you heard that right. $1.1 million for a coin that's not even as big as a Tic Tac. Stick around, because in today's video, we're diving deep into the value of this rare Abraham Lincoln penny and how you can spot one in your collection. Grab your magnifying glass, folks. This is going to be good. There's no way a penny could be worth that much. And I get it. I mean, when you think about pennies, you probably picture something that gets tossed in the jar at the checkout line or rolls around under your couch cushions. But let me tell you, this particular 1963 penny isn't your average run-of-the-mill copper coin. In 1963, the U.S. Mint produced pennies at multiple locations, and they stamped mint marks on most of them to show where they were made. Normally, you'd find a mint mark right under Abraham Lincoln's chin. That's where you'd spot a D for Denver or a S for San Francisco. But here's the kicker. Some 1963 pennies were accidentally struck without any mint mark at all. And if you've got one of those in your possession, well, you're holding on to something special. Now, these coins didn't start out as million-dollar treasures. For years, They were just regular pennies that nobody really paid much attention to. But then, over time, coin collectors started to realize something. Not all 1963 pennies were created equal. The ones without a mint mark were rare. Like, super rared. Here's a funny story for you. I remember when I first started collecting coins, I was all about those shiny new pennies I found in my change. One day, I found a 1963 penny in a box of old coins that my grandfather gave me. I wasn't really sure what it was, but I was like, hey, it's old. Must be worth something, right? I tossed it in my maybe someday pile, totally oblivious to the fact that it could be worth thousands of dollars. Fast forward a few years, I finally get my hands on a coin price guide and boom. I learned that my random 1963 penny could have been worth a fortune if it had no mint mark. Sadly, it was a regular old D mint mark, but I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, those little details make all the difference. So, what exactly makes these 1963 no mint mark pennies so valuable? Well, it all comes down to rarity. You see, when the US Mint was striking pennies in 1963, there was a mix-up in production. Some of the coins came out without a mint mark, which was completely unintentional. Over time, collectors started to catch on that these mintless pennies were actually quite scarce. The rest of the coins had either the D or S mint marks, making the no mint mark variety much harder to find. But here's where the value really starts to skyrocket. The reason these pennies can go for over $1 million is due to their extreme rarity, combined with the fact that coin collectors are willing to pay big bucks for something so unique. As of recent auctions, certain 1963 no mint mark pennies have been selling for crazy amounts, like, we're talking $1.1 million crazy. This isn't just a fluke either. There's real demand for these rare coins, and if you've got one, you could cash in big time. Now, don't start going through your spare change and thinking you've struck gold just yet. Most 1963 pennies, even if they don't have a mint mark, are still not worth a ton of money. But there are a few things you can look for to help you tell the difference between a regular 1963 penny and a potential jackpot. First off, look for the absence of a mint mark. This can usually be found on the reverse side of the coin, under the year. If there's nothing there, you're off to a good start. Like any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. A coin that's been in circulation for decades is probably going to be worn down, and that's going to lower its value. But if the coin is in great condition, like maybe it was tucked away in a drawer somewhere, that'll increase the worth. You're going to want to get the coin authenticated. A lot of fakes and misidentified coins are out there, and a professional appraisal will help determine whether your 1963 penny is the real deal. Trust me, the last thing you want is to get all excited about a rare coin, only to find out it's a dud. So, make sure you've got a pro take a look. If you do have one of these rare coins, you might want to consider auctioning it off. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stax Bowers have been known to sell high-value coins, and they can help you get the best price for your 1963 no mint mark penny. So, to wrap things up, if you've got a 1963 penny with no mint mark, you might just have a tiny treasure worth millions of dollars. Keep your eyes peeled and don't toss those old coins into the jar just yet. Who knows? You could be holding on to a small fortune. And remember, collecting coins isn't just about finding the big bucks. It's about appreciating the history behind every piece, whether it's worth $1 million or just a couple of cents. If you want to learn more tips on spotting rare coins, finding valuable treasures, or just want to hear more hilarious stories about my own collecting mishaps, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got plenty more to cover in future videos. Alright, I'm off to check my change jar again. Maybe today's the day I find my $1 million penny. Imagine digging through your spare change and stumbling upon a coin worth $1.20 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what we're diving into today. The 1971 Abraham Lincoln penny. And no, I'm not talking about the usual pennies that get stuck under your couch cushions. This bad boy is packing some serious cash value, and I'm here to explain how it got there and why you should keep an eye out for it. Alright, so let's break this down. We all know Lincoln pennies. Heck, they're one of the most common coins you'll ever find in your pocket. But there's something special about the 1971 version that'll have you looking at your change with a magnifying glass from now on. First of all, what's the deal with the S mint mark? You see, In 1971, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln pennies at both the Philadelphia Mint and the San Francisco Mint. But the S Mint mark represents those coins made in San Francisco. Fun fact, they were initially known for producing proof coins, but they started doing regular circulation coins too. But here's the kicker, the 1971 S penny isn't just another run-of-the-mill penny. In fact, it's one of the most highly sought-after coins by collectors, and it's got some serious street cred in the coin world. So, what makes this penny worth so much? Let's talk about that shiny thing called error coins. Now, what we're talking about here is a special and very rare error in the minting process that makes the 1971 penny stand out. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die, which means that the image of Abraham Lincoln is stamped more than once, creating a double image effect. It's like Lincoln went to the gym and got a second chin, but in coin form. This slight mistake, which might seem trivial, is exactly what makes these coins so valuable. Because of the double die, these pennies are super rare and hard to find. And when something's rare, it gets cha-ching in the value department. Now, I've got one right here in my hand. Not the double die, though. Sadly, this is just your standard, everyday 1971 S penny. Still cool, but definitely not worth $1,000,000. So how do you tell the difference? Well, you're going to need a magnifying glass or a really good pair of glasses. If you're like me, you might need a magnifying glass in your glasses just to see anything at all these days. The error will show up in the details of the date or Lincoln's image, where you'll see a slight doubling. If you find one of these pennies, congratulations! You might have a literal treasure on your hands. Alright, now let's talk money. How much could one of these babies be worth? The value of a 1971 S double die can range from a few $1,000s all the way to over $1.2 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny that could pay off your mortgage, a vacation to Bora Bora, and maybe even a new car. The value all depends on the condition and how well preserved the coin is. But finding one of these? That's like winning the lottery, but with a much smaller chance, of course. I had a little experience with something like this. A few years ago, I was going through a jar of loose change I'd saved up from the couch cushions and random pockets. I was just about to toss a few pennies in the coin jar when I noticed one of them had a weird double image of Lincoln's head. It was kind of like I found a clue to a treasure hunt, and my heart started racing. Of course, I ran straight to Google, and after a bit of research, I realized I was holding something pretty rare. Unfortunately, it wasn't a 1971 S double die, just a normal penny with a bit of wear and tear. But the point is, I got a taste of that excitement. And trust me, if you find the real deal, it's a whole new level of holy moly. Now, if you're feeling like you need to go through all your spare change, don't panic. Finding one of these rarities is like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, you never know. You might just stumble upon a gold mine without even realizing it. That's what makes coin collecting so much fun. It's a game of treasure hunting mixed with history, and every coin tells a story. So, if you're serious about learning more tips on rare coins, collecting strategies, and how to spot the ones that could be worth millions, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm here to guide you through the world of coins that could change your life. Hit that bell icon so you never miss out on another valuable tip. Who knows? The next penny you find could be worth a fortune. And that's the kind of story you'll want to tell. You're going through your spare change, tossing pennies into a jar without a second thought, and then, bam, you find one that's worth a small fortune. Sounds like a dream, right? But for some lucky collectors, this has turned into reality. If you've ever heard of the 1964 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, well, brace yourself, because this penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million today. That's right, $1.3 million for a penny. I know, it's hard to believe, but stick around, because I'm about to show you how you might be sitting on a hidden treasure. Now, before you run off to search your couch cushions or head to your coin jar, let's break down why this coin is so valuable and how you can figure out if you've got one on your hands. Trust me, it's not as simple as just picking up any old 1964 penny with a D mint mark. But hey, I'll walk you through the process step by step. Okay, let's talk about the 1964 D penny. Now, most of us are used to seeing Lincoln pennies in our pocket change, right? But the 1964 D is no ordinary penny. This coin was minted during a crazy time in U.S. history when the country was going through some big changes. But more importantly, here's where it gets interesting. It's the mint mark on this penny that makes it so rare. The D stands for the Denver Mint, which made the majority of pennies that year. The trick is, in 1964, a small batch of pennies were accidentally struck on copper planchets that were meant for 1962 pennies. This small mistake has caused these rare 1964 D pennies to skyrocket in value. And let's be real, this is the kind of mistake you'd expect to find in a funny story about someone spilling coffee on their keyboard at work and sending out an email to the whole company. Oops, sorry about that accidental typo, everyone. But in the world of coins, those little oops moments can lead to huge payouts. So, what makes this penny so special? It's all about the copper. You see, the regular 1964 D pennies were supposed to be made out of a 95% copper, 5% zinc mix. But this little batch? They were accidentally minted with the older, pure copper composition from the pre-1982 coins. That's what makes them super valuable. A lot of people, even serious collectors, might not even recognize it because they're just looking at the typical copper-colored coins. But if you've got one of these rare 1964 DS, it's a game changer. Now, how do you know if you've got a penny that's worth a small fortune? Look at the back of the penny. If there's a D right next to Lincoln's memorial, you're on the right track. Condition matters. This coin has to be in great condition. If it's all worn out and scratched up, it's not going to fetch anywhere near $1.3 million. But if it's got minimal wear, then you're definitely in the right ballpark. There are certain signs to look for. If it's got that old-school copper luster, you might have a gem on your hands. Let me tell you a quick story from my own life about how I almost missed out on a hidden coin treasure. So, there I was, minding my own business, cleaning out an old box of coins I found in my grandma's attic. I thought it was all junk. Old pennies, some nickels, and a couple of dirty dimes. I was about to toss them when I noticed something strange. One of the pennies looked different. It had a deeper copper tone, almost like it was from a different era. Long story short, I did a little research and ended up discovering it was a rare penny from 1914. I sold it for a pretty decent amount. So, yeah, never underestimate the power of a good old penny. Okay, so now that we know what to look for, let's talk about where to sell these bad boys if you happen to find one. Alright, so let's wrap it up. If you find that rare 1964 D penny and it's in good condition, congratulations. You might just be holding a ticket to a pretty hefty payday. Of course, there's always the option of taking it to a trusted coin dealer, or you could even auction it off to the highest bidder. Just make sure you get it verified by a professional before you try selling it. You wouldn't want to miss out on the full value. But hey, if you want more tips on coins worth money, hidden treasures, and strategies for building your collection, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got loads more insider info coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next gem. And hey, if you find a crazy valuable coin, let me know in the comments. We'll all celebrate together. You're cleaning out your old jar of loose change, and you find an old penny. It looks like any other penny. But what if I told you that one very specific penny from 2008 could be worth a whopping $1.4 million? Yeah, you heard that right. That little penny that's been sitting in the back of your drawer could potentially be worth more than a brand new car, or even a down payment on a house. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, what's the catch? Stick with me for the next 60 minutes as we dive into the crazy world of the 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, its value, and how you can spot one of these rare finds. Spoiler alert, it's not just about luck. So, 2008 doesn't exactly scream vintage, right? I mean, it's not like we're talking about a 1909 penny here. But here's the twist. In 2008, the US Mint produced some pretty interesting pennies, and not all of them were created equal. You see, the 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, specifically one with a rare error, is what's grabbing attention in the coin world. In 2008, the US Mint released a series of pennies celebrating Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. These pennies are pretty cool because they feature a special design, a new reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial, but not all of them are worth big bucks. Some of these 2008 pennies have an error that makes them incredibly valuable. The error comes from a misstrike on the coin, and it's one that's incredibly rare to find. So rare, in fact, that some of these pennies have been sold for $1.4 million. That's not a typo, $1,400,000. The error you're looking for is a double die on the obverse, or front side, of the penny. If you closely examine the date or the lettering, you might notice some weird, extra doubling. It's like someone got a little too excited in the minting process and stamped the penny twice. But here's the thing. Finding one of these double die pennies is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone pay over $1 million for a penny with a little mistake on it? And that's a totally valid question. But in the coin world, rare errors can actually increase the value of a coin exponentially. Think about it. A little flaw here, and there might just make a coin more unique, and for collectors, that uniqueness equals big money. Alright, so how can you check your own pennies for this rare double die error? Well, start by looking closely at the date and Liberty text. If you notice any doubling, or the text looks puffed up or blurry, that's a pretty good indication you might have something special on your hands. A magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can help you get a better look. And trust me, you'll want to do this before you just toss it in your spare change jar again. And speaking of looking closely, let me tell you a little story from my personal coin hunting days. I used to have a huge jar of pennies that I'd been collecting for years, just tossing in anything that came my way. One day, I'm sitting down, sipping coffee, and casually going through some coins, and I find this 2008 penny. I look at it, flip it over, and see nothing out of the ordinary. Or so I thought. But then, after remembering this exact 2008 D penny and its potential value, I decided to check it out with a magnifying glass. And guess what? I was one step away from seeing the error that could have made me a fortune. Sadly, mine wasn't the one. But let's just say, that experience made me a lot more careful about which pennies I toss out these days. If you've got one of these error coins, it could be worth a staggering $1.4 million. But before you start running to your coin jar, remember that not every 2008 D penny is going to bring in that kind of cash. The error is incredibly rare. But even if yours isn't a $1 million gem, it could still be worth far more than face value. The condition of the coin is also super important when it comes to value. A penny in great condition, no scratches, no corrosion, no tarnish, is going to fetch a lot more than one that's been hanging out in your change cup for years. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect, and the higher the grade, the higher the value. And listen, don't get discouraged if you don't have a $1.4 million penny. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there that are a lot easier to find and could still get you some serious cash. But keep your eyes peeled for these 2008 D pennies. Alright, folks, now you know all about the 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it's such a big deal in the coin collecting world. Keep an eye out for those rare error coins, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next one to hit the jackpot. But hey, whether you've got a $1 million penny or just a couple of cool finds, the key is to stay curious and stay on the lookout. Coin hunting isn't just about finding rare treasures. It's about the fun of the hunt. So, if you enjoyed today's deep dive into coin collecting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our coin-loving community. We've got plenty more tips, tricks, and hidden gems to talk about, so stay tuned for more. And if you find any rare pennies, don't forget to let me know. Alright, folks, if you're sitting down with a cup of coffee, or maybe even a snack, stop what you're doing, because you might be holding on to a small, seemingly ordinary penny worth, drumroll, please, $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard me right. I said a penny, as in that little coin we all toss around like it's nothing. But don't worry, I'll tell you how you could potentially be holding on to a gold mine, or at least a small fortune. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the tips I'm about to share. Today, we're talking about one specific penny, the 1984 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And yes, I just said $1.5 million. Are you curious? Well, stay tuned. Let's dive in. The 1984 penny. Now, this little guy doesn't look like much. It's copper, has Abraham Lincoln's face on it, and has been circulating in pockets and coin jars for decades. But before you toss it into your change drawer, thinking it's just another penny, let's rewind and talk about why this particular year could be sitting in your pocket, or that coin jar at the bottom of your closet, worth way more than a McDonald's combo meal. So here's the thing. It's all about the mint mark. Most pennies, especially the 1984 ones, were minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and those have no mint mark. But, and this is the big but, if you happen to have a 1984 penny with a mint mark, say in D or S, we're starting to get into some interesting territory. Now here's where it gets spicy. The rare 1984 penny we're talking about, the one with the mint mark that's worth a fortune, was produced in limited quantities. In fact, the 1984 D Denver Mint and 1984 S San Francisco Mint pennies with certain errors or unique characteristics are the ones that have soared in value. How much, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. The 1984 D Double Die Obverse penny, $1.5 million. I know what you're thinking. Is this guy messing with me? Is this one of those clickbait stories? But no, I swear on my grandpa's coin collection, it's legit. Some of these rare pennies were mistakenly struck with double images, meaning they have two slightly misaligned impressions of Lincoln's face on them. This makes them not just cool to look at, but incredibly valuable. So, how do you spot one of these bad boys? Well, it's all in the details. The most notable feature you'll see is a slight doubling of the inscription, especially around Lincoln's nose and the lettering Liberty. These are small things to notice, but trust me, they matter. And when they do, they really matter. In fact, these coins can fetch upwards of $1.5 million at auction depending on their condition. It's crazy, right? It's like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, what's life without a little treasure hunt? Am I right? Now, you might be wondering, how on earth could I have missed this? Well, if you're anything like me, sometimes we just let the pennies pile up. I used to throw them in a jar, thinking they were just, well, pennies. But one day, I decided to start looking through my own stash. And let me tell you, I found a few unusual ones. Now, I'm not saying I found $1 million penny like this one. But hey, there's hope, right? And let me tell you, the thrill of finding a coin that's worth more than face value? It's like winning the lottery, but cooler because you get to hold on to the actual prize. I'm definitely on the lookout for my own $1 million penny. But I digress. The 1984 penny is no ordinary penny. If you've got one with a mint mark and some special characteristics, it could be worth a small fortune. And remember, if you don't find one today, that's okay. Coin hunting is a journey. Maybe your next penny will be worth $1 million. Wouldn't that be nice? If you've enjoyed this video and want to keep learning about coins that could be worth big bucks, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. I'll be bringing you more tips on how to spot rare coins, tricks of the trade, and maybe even a few more stories of coin hunting gone right or wrong. Who knows? Maybe next time, we'll be talking about a $5 million coin. Who am I to say? Hey there, fellow coin hunters. You're digging through your pocket change, maybe looking for a few quarters for the vending machine, and bam, you spot a 1976 D Lincoln penny. Looks normal, right? Just another beat-up old penny. But hold on. What if I told you that little copper coin could be worth $1 million? That's right, folks. A simple penny, something we all overlook, could be the ticket to an early retirement. In today's video, we're diving into the legendary 1976 D Lincoln penny that's supposedly worth a fortune. We'll talk about why it's valuable, what makes it special, and, most importantly, how you can find one. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to turn 1 cent into $1 million? The story behind the 1976 D penny. So, what's the deal with this $1 million penny? Is it magic? A secret treasure left behind by the US Mint? Or is it just another internet rumor? The 1976 D Lincoln penny was minted during America's bicentennial year, a time when everyone was celebrating freedom, disco was king, and bell-bottoms were, unfortunately, still a thing. Most of these pennies were made from copper and zinc, just like every other penny from that era. But some of them, just a handful, were struck on experimental or error planchets, which means they're unique. And in the world of coin collecting, unique often translates to extremely valuable. What makes it worth $1 million? Alright, let's get to the juicy part. What makes this penny worth life-changing money? Some 1976 D pennies were mistakenly struck on silver planchets or experimental metal compositions. These rare errors are what drive collectors wild. If a penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, you've got yourself a serious jackpot. As always, the better the condition, the higher the value. If you somehow have a flawless, uncirculated, mint condition 1976 D penny with a unique error, you're looking at serious money. How to spot one in your pocket change now? I know what you're thinking. Okay, this sounds amazing, but how do I know if I have the penny? Great question. Check the mint mark. Look for that little D under the year 1976. That means it was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. Still cool, but not what we're looking for. Weigh it. A normal 1976 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours is lighter or heavier, you might have something special. Time to bust out that kitchen scale. Look for odd colors. If the coin looks silver, white, or just off, you could have an experimental planchet error. Edges and design details. If the edges look different from a normal penny, or if Lincoln's details seem extra crisp or unusual, it's worth investigating. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, sifting through a random box of coins some guy was selling for $1 a handful. I wasn't expecting much, just some common wheat pennies and maybe a buffalo nickel or two. But lo and behold, I pulled out a 1976 D penny that looked weird. The weight fell off, and the color wasn't quite right. Now, did I strike it rich? No. Turns out, my coin was just a regular penny that had been through the ringer. But the thrill of that moment, the what if of it all, is what makes coin collecting so exciting. You never know when you'll stumble upon something incredible. And let me tell you, finding an actual $1 million penny? That would be the ultimate coin collector's dream. Should you start digging through every jar of pennies you can find? Absolutely. You never know when you might come across a hidden treasure. Even if you don't find the $1 million penny, there are plenty of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. Now, before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got plenty more coin hunting tips coming your way. And hey, if you ever find a rare penny, whether it's a 1976, D or something else, drop a comment and let me know. Who knows? Your story could be the next one I feature on the channel. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. All right, folks, let's talk about something that might just change your life. Imagine this. You're digging through your pocket change, maybe about to grab a coffee and bam. You realize you're holding a penny worth over $1 million. No, this isn't some fantasy or a dream where you wake up and realize it's just Monopoly money. This is real life, and it has actually happened. Today, we're diving into the insane world of coin collecting and talking about the 2018 D Lincoln penny that's been valued at a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny worth more than a house. So, what makes this particular penny so special? And more importantly, how can you find one? Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, plus some expert tips on spotting valuable coins hiding in plain sight. What's the deal with this 2018 D penny? Now, we've all seen Lincoln pennies. After all, they've been around since 1909. But the 2018 D penny? That's a whole different beast. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and while millions of these pennies were produced, there's a tiny batch that came out with a crazy, ultra-rare error that sent its value skyrocketing. Now, before you start emptying your piggy banks all over the floor, let's break down what makes this coin worth $1.1 million. So, what happened? Well, the rarest versions of this 2018 D penny have a serious minting error, one that collectors and experts are going absolutely nuts over. There's a double die obverse, DDO, error, which basically means some details on Lincoln's face and the lettering look doubled. It's like Lincoln had too much coffee and now his face is slightly blurred. If you tilt the coin under the light, you'll see doubling in Liberty, the date 2018, and even parts of Lincoln's profile. But the kicker? Some of these rare pennies also have a misaligned die strike, meaning the whole design is slightly off-center. That's like getting a passport photo where half your head is missing, clearly a mistake, but in this case, one that makes the coin incredibly valuable. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind pays over $1 million for a penny? Well, coin collectors, that's who. One of these ultra-rare 2018 D pennies, graded MS, 69RD Red by PCGS sold for a whopping $1.1 million at auction. That's because it's nearly flawless, practically fresh from the mint with barely any marks or scratches. The red color also means it's got that original luster, which collectors love. Now, don't worry if your penny isn't in perfect condition. Lower-graded versions can still be worth thousands. Even a lightly circulated one with the right error could fetch a few $100, which is a whole lot better than 1 cent. Grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. You need to check for the doubling on Liberty and the date. If it looks like Lincoln's got a ghostly twin, you might be onto something. Look for the Denver D mint mark. This error is only found on 2018 pennies from the Denver Mint. If yours has a P for Philadelphia, sorry, not your lucky day. Check for an off-center strike. If the design looks shifted or misaligned, that's another key sign. Send it for grading. If you think you have a winner, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it officially authenticated. Now, let me tell you a little story. A while back, I was at a gas station, digging through my change to pay for a snack. Yeah, I still use cash sometimes, don't judge me. I spot this weird-looking penny, kind of shiny but a little off-center. I take it home, grab my loupe, and guess what? It wasn't a $1 million penny, but it was a double-die 1995 penny worth over $50. Now, I know $50 isn't exactly life-changing, but hey, that was the easiest money I've ever made. And it taught me an important lesson. Always check your change. You never know when you might hit the jackpot. So, there you have it. The story of the 2018 D. Lincoln penny that sold for $1.1 million and how you can find one too. Before you go, do me a favor. Check your pockets, your couch cushions, your piggy banks, heck, even that old coin jar on top of your fridge. You never know, you might just be holding on to a life-changing penny. And if you love learning about coins worth money, rare finds, and coin collecting strategies, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more insider tips and wild coin stories coming your way. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Who knows? Your next penny might just make you a millionaire. Alright, folks, gather around because today we're talking about a tiny little copper coin that could change your life, if you're lucky enough to have it. That's right, the 1973 D. Lincoln penny, a regular OL pocket change find. But hold on, this baby isn't just any penny. Oh no, it's worth a jaw-dropping $1.20 million. Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions or raiding your grandpa's old coin jar, let's break it down. How did this humble penny turn into a collector's dream? What makes it so special? And most importantly, could you be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking every single penny that passes through your hands. Let's take a trip back to 1973. Gas was 39 cents a gallon, bell-bottoms were the peak of fashion, and "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree" was the hottest song on the radio. And while all that was happening, the Denver Mint was cranking out millions of Lincoln pennies. Most of these pennies, totally normal. You toss them in a vending machine or lose them under your car seat without a second thought. But a handful of these 1973 D pennies came out different. And that's where things get really interesting. What makes this penny worth $1.20 million? So, what's the deal? Why is one specific 1973 D penny making collectors lose their minds? Well, it's all about errors and rarity. Double die obverse, DDO. This means parts of the coin, especially Lincoln's face and the date, appear slightly doubled. It's like the coin was stamped twice, but not quite in the same place. It's subtle, but collectors love this stuff. Struck on a silver planchet. Now, here's where things get wild. This penny wasn't supposed to be struck on a silver planchet, yet it was. That's a huge minting mistake and makes this coin incredibly rare. Mint mark placement, the Denver Mint's little D, is slightly misplaced on some versions, which makes them even more valuable to collectors. How did this even happen? Okay, so how did the US Mint manage to accidentally create a $1.2 million penny? It's simple, human error. Picture this. It's 1973, and a mint worker is having a rough Monday. Maybe he stayed up too late watching the Brady Bunch. Maybe he had one too many cups of bad office coffee. Either way, he accidentally feeds a silver planchet, which was meant for a different coin, into the machine and bam. $1 million mistake is born. Now, normally, these kinds of errors get caught before the coins go into circulation. But this one slipped through the cracks. And now, decades later, collectors are on a nationwide treasure hunt trying to track it down. All right, now let's get to the part you really want to. How do you find one of these bad boys? Check the date. It must be a 1973 D penny. No D, no deal. Look for doubling, grab a magnifying glass, and check Lincoln's face and the date for that doubled image. Weigh it. A normal penny weighs 3.11 grams. But if you've got one struck on a silver planchet, it will weigh around 2.7 grams. So, bust out a scale, sound test, drop a regular penny on a table, then drop your 1973 D. If it has a high-pitched ring instead of a dull clunk, it might be struck on silver. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years back, I was sorting through a roll of pennies I got from the bank. I was in the zone, looking for anything unusual. And guess what? I found a 1973 D penny that looked a little off. My heart started racing. Could this be it? Could I have just found a six-figure coin? Well, I did what any sane person would do. I immediately started daydreaming about a new car, maybe a vacation to Hawaii. But before I booked my flight, I took it to a coin expert. And guess what? It was just a regular 1973 D penny. But for 5 whole minutes, I thought I had hit the jackpot. Lesson learned? Always check your change, but don't quit your job just yet. So, there you have it, the legendary 1973 D Lincoln penny that could be worth $1.2 million. Now, I have to ask, when's the last time you actually looked at your pennies? If the answer is never, you might want to start today. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more coin hunting tips, insider strategies, and stories about rare finds, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Who knows? Your next penny might just be worth a fortune. You're digging through some spare change, maybe looking for a quarter for the vending machine, and boom, you come across a 1979 penny. Just another regular OL cent, right? But what if I told you that one special 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million? Yeah, you heard that right. That's not pocket change. That's life-changing money. Now, before you go flipping over every 1979 penny you own and quitting your job, let's break this down. What makes this coin so valuable? How do you know if you have one? And most importantly, how can you cash in on these rare finds? Stick around, because today, we're diving deep into this little copper beauty that could make you a millionaire. All right, let's start with the basics. The 1979 Lincoln penny, good OL, Honest Abe on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Now, most of these were made in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia ones don't have a mint mark, which is normal. But there's something very, very special about one particular no-mint mark 1979 penny that makes it insanely valuable. Here's where things get juicy. The $1.3 million 1979 Lincoln penny is a mint error, but not just any mint error. It's a super rare, one-of-a-kind misprint that collectors would sell their grandmothers for. This particular penny was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the regular copper-plated zinc planchet used in 1979. The U.S. Mint had switched from 95% copper pennies to the new zinc core pennies in 1974. But every once in a while, a few old copper blanks get mixed in and bam, you've got yourself a crazy rare mistake. Let's put it this way. Out of billions of pennies minted in 1979, there's only one known example of this error in perfect condition. That's why it sold for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million at auction. This thing is basically the Mona Lisa of pennies. Okay, so let's say you dig out your 1979 penny. First, check for a mint mark. If there's a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, sorry, you're out of luck. But if there's no mint mark, we're still in the game now. Here's the tricky part. Most 1979 pennies without a mint mark are totally normal and worth 1 cent. The rare $1 million version is made of solid copper, while regular ones are copper-coated zinc. A normal 1979 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. The rare bronze planchet error weighs around 3.1 grams. If your penny weighs 3.1 grams, you might just be holding something special. And trust me, if you do, get that thing certified ASAP. So, what should you do if you think you have one? Alright, let's say you find a 1979 no-mint mark penny that weighs 3.1 grams. First off, don't clean it. Seriously, cleaning a coin is like putting ketchup on a $100 steak. Just don't do it. Next, you'll want to get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A high-grade version of this coin could be worth hundreds of thousands to over $1 million, depending on condition. And even if you don't find the $1 million penny, don't get discouraged. There are tons of valuable pennies out there waiting to be found. A personal story. My almost jackpot moment now. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, sifting through an old jar of coins a guy was selling for $5. I found a 1979 no-mint mark penny and thought, could this be it? Am I about to be rich? I pulled out my phone, did a quick weight check. 2.5 grams. Just a regular OL penny. My dreams of retiring early? Crushed. But hey, that's the thrill of coin hunting. You never know what you'll find next. Check your change. That one lucky penny could be sitting in your pocket right now, just waiting to change your life. And even if you don't find the $1 million one, there are plenty of valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins, hidden treasures, and smart collecting strategies, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post weekly videos to help you turn your spare change into serious cash. And if you've ever found a rare coin, or think you might have one, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your stories. Ever wondered if that humble penny jingling in your pocket could be worth a fortune? Well, today we're diving deep into the world of the 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Spoiler alert. While it might not make you an overnight millionaire, there's plenty to discover about its value and what makes certain pennies truly priceless. The 2017 D penny isn't exactly the golden ticket to a $1.4 million payday. In fact, most of these coins are worth, well, about 1 cent. But don't let that discourage you. The real treasure lies in understanding what makes some pennies skyrocket in value. So, what's the deal with the 2017 D penny? Minted in Denver, over 4 billion of these coins were produced, making them quite common. In average circulated condition, they're worth their face value. However, if you stumble upon one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with a high grade like MS67 or MS68, you might be looking at a value of around $38. Not exactly retirement money, but hey, it's a start. But here's where things get interesting. The real heavy hitters in the penny world are those with unique errors or historical significance. Take, for example, the 1943 D bronze cent. This little gem fetched a whopping $840,000 at auction. Why? During World War II, pennies were supposed to be made from steel to conserve copper, but a few bronze blanks got mixed in, creating an ultra-rare error coin. How do I find one of these rare beauties? Well, it all comes down to keeping a keen eye out for anomalies. Errors like missing mint marks, double dies, or off-center strikes can significantly boost a coin's value. For instance, a 1990 Lincoln Memorial penny missing its S mint mark was valued at nearly $4,000. Let me share a little story. A few years back, I was rummaging through a jar of old coins my grandfather had collected. Amidst the usual suspects, I found a penny that looked a bit off. After some research, I discovered it was a 1955 double-die penny, a famous error coin. While it didn't make me rich, selling it added a nice little boost to my savings. Always check your change. You never know when a rare coin might pop up. And if you're serious about coin collecting, familiarize yourself with key dates, mint marks, and common errors. Websites like Coin Trackers and PCGS Coin Facts are invaluable resources for this. In conclusion, while the 2017 D penny might not be your ticket to millionaire status, the world of coin collecting offers endless opportunities for discovery and, occasionally, profit. So, next time you get a penny in your change, take a closer look. Who knows? You might just find a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of pennies and want to learn more about coins worth money, hit that subscribe button and join our community of coin enthusiasts. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Let's uncover the hidden gems in our pockets together. You're sifting through your pocket change, and nestled between a dime and a nickel is a humble 2016 Lincoln penny. Nothing special, right? But what if I told you that this unassuming coin could be worth a staggering $1.5 million? Intrigued? Let's dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting and uncover the mystery behind this modern-day treasure. In 2016, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies across its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Typically, coins minted in Philadelphia lack a mint mark, while those from Denver and San Francisco bear a D and S, respectively. So, a 2016 penny without a mint mark is standard fare. But could there be more to the story? In the coin collecting universe, mint errors are the golden tickets. These anomalies occur during the minting process and can range from double dies to off-center strikes. Some errors are so rare that they transform ordinary coins into coveted collectibles worth hefty sums. During World War II, pennies were made from steel to conserve copper. However, a few were mistakenly struck in copper, making them extremely valuable. One such penny fetched $840,000 at auction. This coin features a noticeable doubling of the date and lettering. Initially thought to be counterfeit, genuine specimens are now highly sought after, with some selling for over $35,000. Now, back to our 2016 no mint mark penny. As of my latest research, there haven't been any reported errors or unique variations for this specific coin that would catapult its value into the millions. The claim of a 2016 penny being worth $1.5 million appears to be more myth than reality. However, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and discoveries can happen when least expected. Let me share a little story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through a jar of old coins inherited from my grandfather. Amidst the sea of pennies, one caught my eye, a 1955 Lincoln wheat penny. Upon closer inspection, I noticed the date appeared doubled. My heart raced as I realized it was the famous 1955 double die error. After getting it authenticated, I sold it for a tidy sum, which I used to kickstart my coin collection journey. It was a thrilling reminder that treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. While the tale of the 2016 no mint mark penny worth $1.5 million might be more fiction than fact, it underscores the excitement and allure of coin collecting. Every coin in your pocket has a story, and some might just be worth more than their weight in gold. So, next time you come across spare change, take a moment to look closer. You never know what treasures await. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable coins and want to uncover more hidden gems, hit that subscribe button and join us for more coin collecting adventures. Alright, folks, get ready to hold on to your pocket change because what we're about to talk about could be worth more than your entire coin jar. Imagine stumbling upon a penny in your couch cushions, only to find out it's worth a whopping $1.60 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? But trust me, it's very real, and it's all thanks to a rare 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. You heard me right, no mint mark. No mint mark, no problem. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who missed it, in which case, you're probably still regretting that day you threw away that weird penny. So, grab your magnifying glass, a cup of coffee, and maybe a comfy chair because we're about to dive into how this little penny could turn your day around. Now, you might be thinking, isn't the 2013 penny just a regular old penny? What's the deal? Let me stop you right there. The 2013 penny in question is a bit of an anomaly. See, every year, the U.S. Mint stamps pennies with a mint mark, which tells you where it was made. For example, D means Denver, S means San Francisco. But in 2013, a few pennies slipped through the cracks. Pennies that were supposed to be stamped with a mint mark, but were missing it completely. And that mistake is what's got collectors losing their minds and their wallets over this little guy. You might be wondering, how does something like this even happen? Well, let me tell you. It's like finding a typo in a book that turns out to be worth thousands. You see, every year the U.S. Mint goes through a pretty rigorous process to make sure all coins are properly stamped. But in 2013, during production, a batch of pennies were accidentally struck without the mint mark. It's basically like when you leave the house with a tag still on your shirt and everyone assumes you bought the shirt for $200. Only, this time, the penny's tag was missing, and now it's worth a few $1 million. So how much could this error actually be worth? Well, It all started when a few rare collectors realized these mintless pennies were showing up in circulation. One particularly notable penny recently sold for $1.6 million at auction. Yeah, you heard me right, $1.6 million. That's not pocket change, my friend. That's the kind of money that makes you wonder if you've been checking your change jar for the wrong reasons all these years. Could you imagine finding that in your wallet? Maybe you'd finally get that vacation to Hawaii, or, buy a whole lot of snacks. The value comes from the rarity and the mistake. People love stuff that's unique, right? It's like when you find a vintage t-shirt with a logo that's slightly off-center. It's quirky, it's rare, and that makes it valuable to collectors. The 2013 No Mint Mark penny is a perfect example of how a small, seemingly insignificant mistake can turn into something worth a fortune. It's not just about the metal or the size. It's about the story behind it. How do you spot this elusive coin in your change jar, and what do you do if you find one? Well, first, get yourself a magnifying glass. You'll need to inspect your pennies up close. Look at the date. If it says 2013 and there's no mint mark, you've struck gold, metaphorically, of course. Just remember, these pennies are rare. We're not talking about finding one in every pile of change you've got lying around, but it's worth taking a second to check, right? You know, I actually had a moment like this once. I was digging through my old coin collection, just some random pennies I had saved from the 90s. Nothing too fancy, right? Well, I decided to go through them to see if any of them were worth something. I picked up this old, beat-up penny, and the date was worn off, but the shape looked a little strange. I almost tossed it, but something told me to hang on to it. Turns out, it was a rare 1982 copper penny that's now worth a few $100. Don't just toss your pennies. Give them a second look. You might be sitting on a gold mine. All right, folks, as you can see, this 2013 No Mint Mark penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of history. So, next time you're rummaging through your coin jar or checking your change after buying a cup of coffee, don't just dismiss that penny as useless. It might be the key to your next big windfall. And hey, if you found this info helpful and you want more tips on how to turn your pocket change into big cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss out on more coin collecting secrets, tips, and strategies to make your collection worth even more. Drop a comment if you've got any cool coin stories, and I'll see you next time with more ways to cash in on your collection. Do you ever find yourself flipping through loose change, thinking, what if I just found a hidden treasure? Well, what if I told you that a single penny, yes, just one little copper coin, could be worth up to $1.7 million? Sounds like a fantasy, right? But I promise you, it's not. Grab a seat, because today we're diving into the story of the 1976 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, one of the rarest, most sought-after coins out there. And no, it's not a typo. So, how does a penny go from being just pocket change to something worth more than most people's homes? Stick around and let's dig into this gem of a coin, and who knows? Maybe your next coin jar search will lead to a small fortune. First off, let's talk about the 1976 D penny. The D is for the Denver Mint Mark, where this particular coin was minted, and it's a key detail in making this penny so rare. You see, in 1976, the U.S. Mint was celebrating the bicentennial, 200 years since America declared its independence, and as part of that celebration, they made some changes to the coin designs. They even created a special reverse design for the quarter, but it didn't change the penny much. However, that didn't stop this 1976 D. Lincoln penny from slipping under the radar and turning into a valuable collector's item. What makes this penny worth a fortune is that, in the case of a few extremely rare examples, there was a double die error in the minting process. Essentially, this means that the coin was struck twice, resulting in a distinct doubling of certain details on the coin, such as Lincoln's eye, his chin, and the date on the front. If you get lucky and find one of these double-dyed pennies, you're in for a treat. But hold on a second. Let's talk about what this really means for you. You might be thinking, how do I know if I have one of these error coins? Well, it's not exactly easy to spot with your naked eye. It takes a trained eye to spot that fine doubling. And that's why knowing what to look for is crucial. Look closely at the details around Lincoln's face and the date. If you notice any signs of doubling, then congratulations. You may just have a treasure on your hands. It's like finding a hidden gem in your everyday change. Now, let's talk about the money side of things. The value of these error pennies, when they are in mint condition, can skyrocket. A well-preserved 1976 D double die penny in near-perfect condition has been known to fetch upwards of $1.7 million at auction. That's right, million with an M. Of course, not all 1976 D pennies are worth that much, but even a less-than-perfect specimen can still be worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on the quality and the demand. It's wild, isn't it? Okay, okay. So you might be sitting there thinking, that's all fine and dandy, but how do I make sure I don't miss a penny like that? Well, here's where things get real. I remember when I first got serious about coin hunting. I had that moment where I was just scrounging through change, thinking I had found some random old coin that had to be worth something, only to find out it was just another worn-down, 1990-something penny. Talk about a letdown. But after doing more research and building my collection, I realized it's about the details, folks. You have to be picky. Always check the condition of the coin. A penny that's been sitting in a jar for 40-plus years might not be worth a fortune, but a well-maintained one with that double die error could easily make you a pretty penny. Check the mint mark. Make sure it's from the Denver Mint. That D mark is key. Inspect the coin for any signs of doubling, especially on the date and Lincoln's face. And don't forget, condition matters. A coin in good shape will always bring a higher price. The 1976 D penny might not pop up in your change every day, but it's definitely worth keeping your eyes peeled for. And if you do find one, hey, don't spend it like it's just another penny. Hold on to it. All right, coin enthusiasts, I hope you're ready to start searching through your spare change now. Who knows? That next penny you find could be a jackpot waiting to happen. But even if you don't find the 1976 D. Abraham Lincoln double die penny, don't let that stop you from exploring the world of coin collecting. There are tons of valuable coins out there, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. So, if you found today's video helpful, or just want to keep up with more tips and tricks on how to find coins worth money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. You're digging through your old coin jar, you spot a penny, and you think, just another penny. Nothing special. But what if I told you that same penny could be worth, hold your breath, $1.60 million? Yeah, I know. It sounds like something straight out of a coin collector's fantasy, but stay with me. We're talking about the 2001 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and it's a gold mine you might be sitting on without even knowing it. I know you're probably thinking, what? A penny? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you why that little coin could make you a millionaire. Now, before we get too carried away and start booking private jets for the tropical vacation this penny will pay for, let's break down why this penny is so valuable. You know how most pennies have a mint mark? It's that little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, right? Well, back in 2001, there were a handful of pennies that were minted without any mint mark at all, which is wildly unusual. And that's where the magic happens, so let's rewind the clock for a second. In 2001, the US Mint made billions of pennies. But because of a mix-up or a little mistake in the process, hey, we've all made a mistake at work, right? Some of those pennies got out without the mint mark. Fast forward to today, and those errors are worth a small fortune. So much so that a 2001 no mint mark penny has been known to sell for as much as $1.6 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny. For $1 million. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was cleaning out some old drawers in my office and came across an old jar full of pennies. You know, the ones that have just been sitting there, forgotten, probably collecting dust. I started going through them, thinking, what a waste of time. But then, I found one that was a little off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something about it felt different. So, I did what any curious person would do. I Googled it. Turns out, I had a 2001 no mint mark penny. Not worth $1.6 million, sadly, but it was still worth more than a regular penny. Moral of the story? Never underestimate what's in your jar of coins. So, how can you tell if you have one of these special pennies? Great question. The 2001 no mint mark penny is tricky because it looks almost identical to the regular 2001 penny. You'll have to check closely to see if it's missing the mint mark. That's the main giveaway. Check both sides carefully. And don't forget, the key is that it's from 2001, and it has absolutely no mint mark. It's also worth noting that not every 2001 penny without a mint mark is worth a fortune. Condition is everything when it comes to coins. If your penny is worn out and has been through a few too many rolls, it's not going to make you a millionaire. But if it's in great shape, especially if it's in mint condition, you could be holding onto something extremely valuable. Some of these coins have sold at auction for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, let's talk about how to actually get your hands on one of these bad boys. If you don't already have a 2001 no mint mark penny lying around, don't worry. Keep an eye out when you're looking through pocket change or even visiting garage sales. Sometimes people don't realize the value of what they have, and that's your chance to grab a hidden gem. You could get lucky and find one sitting in plain sight. Another way to potentially snag one is by browsing through online auction sites like eBay. There are plenty of listings for rare coins, and while you might not find one for $1,000,000, you might just score a good deal if you're quick and know what you're looking for. Okay, before you go running off to check your pocket change or dump out all your coin jars, I want to leave you with one thought. Coin collecting isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge and paying attention to the details. Sure, the 2001 no mint mark penny is a rare find, but there are plenty of other valuable coins out there. Who knows? You could have the next big find in your collection right now. If you enjoyed learning about this crazy $1,000,000 penny, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton more tips on coins worth money and strategies for building a collection that could pay off big time. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. So, subscribe, like, and drop a comment below telling me if you've ever found a coin that was worth more than you thought. And hey, if you do find one of these 2001 no mint mark pennies, make sure to let me know. I'll be celebrating with you from here. Are you sitting down? Because you might want to be for this one. I'm about to tell you about a penny that could make you richer than you ever thought a coin could. So much so, you might start thinking your loose change is a gold mine. Yep, we're talking about the 1998 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Trust me, it's not your average pocket change. If you're holding on to one of these, it could be worth upwards of $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, million. And no, I didn't accidentally hit the wrong button. Stay tuned to find out why. All right, let's dive into this wild story about a penny that's so rare it might just make you start checking your pockets a little more often. First things first, let's talk about what makes the 1998 no mint mark penny so special. You see, the mint mark is typically stamped onto U.S. coins to show where they were made, whether it's Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But here's the thing. In 1998, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia made a whole batch of pennies without a mint mark. Now, this wasn't supposed to happen. It's like baking a batch of cookies and forgetting to add the chocolate chips. But unlike the cookies, the mistake ended up being worth a lot more than expected. Because the mint mark is an identifier. Without it, collectors immediately see the coin as a rare mistake. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are often worth their weight in gold. Or, in this case, pennies that are worth up to $1.7 million. But I've seen a million pennies before, and none of them have made me a millionaire. And you're right, most of them are just regular pennies. But the 1998 no mint mark penny? It's one of those extremely rare finds that gets the heart racing. So, how can you spot one? That's the golden question. First, take a good look at your pennies from 1998. You're looking for one with no mint mark beneath Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. If you see a little D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, then sadly, you're not holding the $1.7 million jackpot. But if it's blank, bingo, you've got yourself a potential gold mine. Now, here's a little personal story from my own collecting days. A few years back, I was going through a jar of coins I'd found at a yard sale. I was doing my usual check, looking for anything shiny, weird, or out of the ordinary. And in that jar, I found a penny from the 90s that looked a little too clean, a little too new. At first, I thought it was just a regular penny, but I remembered hearing about these mint errors and thought, what the heck, let's take a closer look. Long story short, it wasn't the 1998 no mint mark penny, unfortunately, but it did lead me down the rabbit hole of learning about rare coins. That's where I found out about these precious 1998 pennies. So, I guess you could say, It's kinda my fault I'm here telling you all this, because that one penny made me obsessed with finding these hidden treasures. Now, the real kicker is, if you find one of these rare 1998 no-mint mark pennies in good condition, it could fetch a high price. The price can range, depending on the penny's condition, from a few $1,000s to, as I mentioned earlier, up to $1.7 million. You're basically looking at a coin that could set you up for life if you're lucky enough to find one in mint condition. So, let's say you do find one. What's next? Well, once you've done your happy dance, you'll want to get that coin professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Why? Because the value of your penny could depend heavily on its grade. A coin in mint condition, with no wear or scratches, will obviously be worth more than one that's been banged around in someone's pocket for decades. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I've got a 1998 penny with no mint mark, but it's not worth that much. And that could be true. Just because the coin is rare doesn't mean it'll always fetch that $1.7 million price tag. Factors like the overall condition, how many are out there, and even the current demand all come into play. But hey, still, even if it's not quite $1 million penny, any amount over face value is a win in my book. That the 1998 no-mint mark penny is one of those hidden gems you might just find in your pocket change, and if you do, you could be sitting on a small fortune. But don't just take my word for it. Check your change, check your jars of coins, and take a look at those 1998 pennies. You never know if you've got a rare one on your hands. And if you do, well, let me just say, don't forget to send me a thank you card. If you've enjoyed learning about this mind-blowing coin, and maybe even feel a little more motivated to search your pockets for rare finds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more tips, tricks, and coin collecting strategies to help you find the coins worth money and potentially change your financial future. Who knows, the next coin you find could be your ticket to the big time. What if I told you that a single penny could be worth a small fortune? Like a whole lot of fortune. We're talking about a penny that could sell for up to $1.8 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? But it's not. Today, I'm about to blow your mind with the story of the 1976 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin so rare, so valuable, that it's practically like finding a needle in a haystack. Only that needle is made of solid gold. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be on the lookout for pennies in your pocket, hoping they're worth millions. Okay, let's take it back to 1976. We're talking pre-smartphone days, a time when people were still using payphones, and streaming meant you were probably stuck in traffic listening to the radio. But amidst all of this, something weird happened at the US Mint. While the whole world was celebrating the bicentennial, something went horribly wrong. Or maybe it was just luckily wrong. Either way, they accidentally produced a set of 1976 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark. Now, if you're not a coin expert yet, you might be thinking, what's the big deal about a mint mark? Well, here's the thing. Every coin that's made in the US has a mint mark, which tells you where it was produced. Most coins have a D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But this penny? Nope, no mint mark. Zip, zilch, nada. Well, it's believed that some of the pennies were accidentally stamped without a mint mark due to a mix-up during production. Whether it was human error or a machine glitch, we'll never know for sure. But what we do know is that these coins didn't make it to the regular public circulation. So, how does something like that end up being worth $1.8 million? These no mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. In fact, there are only a handful of them that have ever been found, and most of those are tucked away in private collections or are sitting in vaults at the US Mint. Not every 1976 penny is worth millions. No, no, no. Only the ones that have been carefully inspected and authenticated by experts. If you ever happen to find one of these rare pennies, get it certified before you even think about selling it. Trust me, there's a whole market for this stuff. Some buyers are out there paying ridiculous prices for these coins because they're that rare. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, so I probably don't have one of these rare pennies lying around in my couch cushions, right? And you might be right. Most of us probably don't. But here's the good news. If you're like me, you've probably got a few old pennies lying around in that giant jar on your dresser. You know the one. You throw all your loose change in there, hoping that one day it'll magically turn into something valuable. Well, what if it actually does? I'm not saying you'll find $1 million coin today, but it doesn't hurt to check your stash. It's like the lottery, except instead of scratching off tickets, you're just flipping through old coins. Who knows? You could have one of these rare pennies hiding in plain sight. Speaking of coin stashes, let me tell you about a time when I thought I had discovered something really valuable. So, a few years ago, I was digging through an old box of pennies that I'd inherited from my grandpa. I thought, this is it. This is my jackpot. I found a coin that seemed a little different. It was tarnished and kind of dirty, but it looked old. I'm thinking, is this the big one? Is this the penny? Turns out, I got a little too excited. What I had was a really, really old penny from 1982. Not quite the $1 million jackpot I'd hoped for. But hey, it's still pretty cool to hold on to. Moral of the story? It's worth checking your coins. Just don't get too carried away like I did. Who knows what could be hiding there? You might be sitting on a gold mine, or, just a really cool piece of history. The 1976 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is worth up to $1.8 million, and finding one could completely change your life. But, just like anything valuable, it's all about doing your research and getting it authenticated before you start counting your millions. Now, before you go running off to inspect every single penny in your collection, let me give you a quick tip. Keep an eye out for rare coins in your change. You never know when you might find one that's worth a lot more than its face value. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can keep bringing you all the tips and tricks on finding coins that are worth money, because trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin. I'd love to hear your stories, and who knows, maybe you'll inspire someone else to check their own stash. Have you ever stumbled upon a coin that made you do a double take? I mean, we all love to check our pocket change, right? But what if I told you there's a penny out there that's worth a whopping $1.9 million? Yep, you heard me right. A penny. And not just any penny. A 1982 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Let's dive into the story behind this coin, why it's worth so much, and how you can start looking for treasures in your own change. First things first, let's talk about that wild $1.9 million price tag. Is this guy pulling my leg? A penny worth $1 million? Nope, I'm not kidding. The 1982 no-mint mark penny is not just a rare find. It's a historic anomaly that coin collectors drool over. Here's the lowdown on why it's worth so much. Back in 1982, the US Mint was transitioning between different coin types, and there was a hiccup in the process. Some of the pennies that year were produced without the usual mint mark, which is typically found on the reverse side of the coin. For some reason, the mint just didn't stamp a mark on a select few pennies in 1982. It's a mistake that happens once in a blue moon. Now, I know some of you might be saying, but I've got a bunch of pennies from 1982, and they're all marked. Does that mean mine are worthless? Well, not exactly. The thing with the 1982 no-mint mark penny is that it was produced in extremely limited numbers. Only a few dozen were made, and it's a super rare mistake. You can find regular 1982 pennies with the mint mark, but the ones without it are like the holy grail of coin collecting. If you've got a piece of history that's as rare as finding a needle in a haystack, it's bound to fetch some serious cash. That $1.9 million value comes from the fact that there's a bidding war for these bad boys every time one pops up at auction. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to find something worth that much in their spare change? Okay, but how do you know if you've got one of these bad boys in your pocket right now? It's not that hard, really. First, check the date. It has to be 1982. Then, take a closer look at the reverse side of the penny. Normally, you'll see a mint mark right under the word E pluribus unum on the back. If there's no mint mark, that's your cue to start celebrating. Now, just to set expectations, it's really, really rare to find one. But don't let that stop you from keeping an eye on your coins. I mean, let me tell you, I've got a pretty funny story about my own coin hunting experience. I was about 12 years old, and I was convinced I was going to find a coin worth millions. I mean, every time I'd hit the store and get my change, I'd sit there scrutinizing it like I was some sort of treasure hunter. Point one day, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I found a shiny penny and thought, this has got to be it. I raced home, threw it on my bed, and gave it a once-over. And guess what? It was just a regular 1981 penny. But hey, I was hooked. Because even though that particular penny wasn't going to make me rich, it got me obsessed with finding rare coins. And that's what led me to learn more about coins like the 1982 no mint mark penny. Now, don't worry, I didn't throw in the towel. In fact, my collection has grown since then. I've found some cool rare coins over the years, and it's always thrilling when you get your hands on something that could have value, no matter how big or small. So, whether you're just starting your collection or you've been at it for years, remember, you never know when your next find could be worth a fortune. While the 1982 no mint mark penny is one of the rarest, most valuable coins out there, it's also one of those coins that takes a lot of luck and a little bit of coin knowledge to find. But hey, don't let that stop you from digging through your pockets or hitting up your local coin shops. Keep your eyes peeled because you never know when you might find a hidden gem. And if you want to stay in the loop on more coins worth money, coin collecting strategies, and all that good stuff, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be dropping more tips, tricks, and even a few more hilarious stories about my own coin hunting adventures. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what could be the next big discovery. You're at a yard sale, flipping through a box of pennies, just casually browsing like you always do. You come across a 1993 penny, and you think to yourself, oh, another modern penny. Nothing special here. But hold up. What if I told you that 1993 penny could be worth $2 million? No, I'm not joking. This is no April Fool's prank. This penny is a rare gem in the world of coin collecting. Stick around because I'm about to break down everything you need to know about this crazy coin, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Alright, let's jump into it. If you're a coin collector, even if you just have an old jar of change in your drawer, you might have heard about the 1993 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. But if you haven't, let me give you a quick rundown. In 1993, the U.S. Mint produced pennies with a mint mark, but for a very rare reason, some of the pennies from that year didn't have one. These coins were supposed to have the D mint mark, indicating they were produced in the Denver Mint. But here's the kicker. There are some 1993 pennies out there that are missing that mint mark entirely. And when I say rare, I mean really rare, so why does this matter? Well, a missing mint mark means the penny didn't come from the Denver Mint where most of the pennies were made. Instead, they were produced in the Philadelphia Mint. Typically, coins from the Philadelphia Mint have no mint mark, but the U.S. Mint had a major slip-up when it produced these 1993 pennies. They went out into circulation just like any other penny, and most people had no idea what they were holding on to. Fast forward to today, and these pennies are worth a small fortune. How much? Well, if you've got a 1993 no mint mark penny in good condition, we're talking really good condition, folks, like uncirculated or proof quality, you could be looking at $2 million. No kidding. That's more than some people's houses, and definitely more than my first car, which I thought was a classic, but now seems like a rolling piece of junk. First off, you'll want to look at the obverse side, where Abraham Lincoln's face is. If the penny has the year 1993 but no mint mark under the year, it could be the one. And by the way, there's a common misconception that some people think the mint mark is just missing because of wear and tear. Nope, this wasn't an accident of the coin being worn down. It was a production error, which is exactly why these pennies are so valuable. You can get really detailed by examining the coin's condition. If your penny has shiny details, sharp edges, and no signs of excessive wear, you've got a good candidate on your hands. The more pristine, the better. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How the heck am I supposed to know if my penny's the rare one or just a regular old 1993 penny? Easy answer. You're going to have to take it to an expert or get it professionally graded. Let me tell you a little story from my own experience. A few years ago, I was at a coin show. I was just casually strolling around, minding my own business, looking for any hidden gems. I picked up a small, seemingly worthless jar of loose change from a vendor who was practically giving it away. Now, I was mainly focused on the silver coins at the time, but something about this jar kept bugging me. So, I took a closer look, and bam, I found a 1993 penny with no mint mark. At first, I thought I was seeing things. I mean, how often do you actually stumble upon a rare coin like that in a random jar, right? But after a little research and a professional coin grader's opinion, it turned out it was indeed one of those rare 1993 no mint mark pennies. Now, I'm not saying I sold it for $2 million, wishful thinking, but it was worth a good chunk of change and it made my day. So, don't underestimate those pennies you've got lying around. I recommend getting your 1993 penny professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. This step is crucial because a properly graded penny can get the maximum value when you decide to sell it. And hey, even if it's not worth $2 million, there's a pretty solid chance you're sitting on a very valuable coin, and that's still a win. But wait, it gets even better. A lot of people have been selling their 1993 no-mint mark pennies for decent amounts. And if you happen to find one in your collection, it could be your ticket to a major payday. Just be careful with the market. Make sure you're working with reputable dealers and buyers. And always double-check if the coin is actually legit. There are some fakes out there, and you don't want to get stuck with one of those. Keep an eye out for those rare 1993 pennies with no mint mark. If you've got one, get it professionally graded, and who knows? You could be looking at a small fortune. Whether it's worth $2 million or just a few $100, it's always a good feeling to know you've got a valuable coin on your hands. Now, if you love coins and want to learn more about hidden treasures just waiting to be found in your pocket change, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories to share with you. Who knows? Your next big find could be just around the corner. What if I told you that you could have a penny sitting around in your pocket, in your car, or even in that jar of loose change, and it could be worth a whopping $2.1 million? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it's not. Stick around because today we're diving into the 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, an ordinary penny that's worth far more than its face value. And you definitely don't want to miss this. I know, you're probably thinking, come on, how could a 2017 penny be worth millions? But trust me, there's more to this little coin than meets the eye. So, let's get into it and uncover the secret behind this not-so-ordinary penny. Okay, first, let's talk about what makes this penny so special. When we think of a penny, we usually picture the good old Abraham Lincoln copper design, right? It's been around for ages, since 1909, in fact. But here's the twist. Most of the 2017 pennies you'll find are just that, ordinary. But every now and then, there's a rare coin that pops up and has a serious story to tell. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Most people have probably never even looked closely at the mint mark on their coins. You know, that little D or P you might find near the bottom of the coin. That's the mint mark, and it tells you where the penny was made, either in Denver, Philadelphia, or even San Francisco. The 2017 D Mint Mark penny is where the magic happens. For the most part, 2017 pennies from the Denver Mint are just like any other copper-plated zinc pennies. But occasionally, something happens in the minting process and it produces a mistake, aka an error coin. This isn't just any old error, though. The 2017 D pennies that are worth $2.1 million are the result of a super rare minting error. You see, a few of these coins were struck with an imprint that's slightly off-center, and that makes them incredibly rare. And when you find an error coin like this in your change, it can be worth a lot more than a standard penny. We're talking millions, folks. How on earth can I find one of these? And hey, I've been there too. I remember when I was first getting into coin collecting, thinking that I'd find rare coins just by going through my pocket change. But in reality, it's a lot more about paying attention and knowing what to look for. It's simple. Look for the signs. Keep an eye out for those off-center strikes or any weird distortions on the coin. Sometimes the errors are so subtle that you almost have to squint to see them, but trust me, if you spot one of these rare 2017 D pennies, it could be your ticket to millions. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was going through some old change I had stashed away in a drawer. Just a bunch of pennies, nickels, and dimes. Most of them were worthless, but I noticed one that just looked a little off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was definitely different. After doing some research and checking the mint mark, I realized it was a rare 1999 penny with an error. While it wasn't worth $1 million, it was worth a lot more than the 1 cent I thought it was, so don't just toss those pennies aside. It's always worth checking, especially if you're serious about collecting. Now, I know what you might be thinking, okay, but how many times does this happen? Are there really that many $2.1 million pennies floating around out there? And you're right to be skeptical. In fact, the 2017 D Mint Mark pennies with the minting error are so rare that they're more like a needle in a haystack. But that's what makes coin collecting so much fun. You never know when you'll stumble upon something that could change your life, just like finding that rare coin in your change. Think about it. This isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. It's like a treasure hunt every day, and you don't need to dig in the sand to find it. You could be holding a treasure in your very own hand, and all it takes is some patience, a little research, and a good eye to spot the rare ones. The 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny isn't just a regular penny. It's a rare gem worth millions, thanks to a minting error. And while you might not find one every day, it's always worth keeping your eyes peeled. Because you never know when that one little coin could turn your day, and maybe even your life, around. Now, I hope this has got you as excited about coin collecting as I am. If you've got a stash of pennies or other coins laying around, take a moment to check them out. You could be sitting on a gold mine, or at least a small fortune. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and you're hungry for more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got a ton more coin hunting tips coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. All right, coin collectors, it's time to break out your piggy banks and dust off those lint-filled pockets, because you might be sitting on a small fortune. Picture this. You're casually flipping through your change, and there it is, a penny. A regular old 2016 D Mint Mark penny. But hold on. What if I told you that this penny could be worth a whopping $2.2 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $2.2 million. And no, it's not a joke. So, stick around, because today we're diving into how one very special penny from 2016 is causing waves in the coin collecting world and how you can spot it. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'll explain exactly why that little coin could make you a millionaire, or at least a very happy penny collector. Now, before we go on a treasure hunt, let me take you back to a time when things were simple, like just a few years ago. Remember 2016? I was busy losing my keys, wondering why my phone kept updating itself, and of course, collecting pennies like everyone else. Honestly, I never thought much about pennies until I came across one of these. That's right, the 2016 D penny, a coin that, on most days, you'd probably toss aside without a second thought. But there's a twist. You see, back in 2016, a small batch of these pennies was released into circulation with a unique error. And this error? Well, it's what makes it potentially worth more than a Tesla. Here's the deal. This coin has what's known as a double die error. This means that, while it was being struck at the mint, the die that imprinted the design onto the penny was slightly misaligned. So, you get a coin with a double image of Abraham Lincoln. That's why they're called double die pennies, because Lincoln's face is, well, doubled up. Imagine if you woke up and saw that in the mirror. Twice the Lincoln for twice the trouble, right? But, seriously, this error is extremely rare. Not every 2016 D penny is a winner. It's a needle in a haystack. But if you happen to find one of these double die pennies, you could be looking at a coin worth anywhere from $500 to $2.2 million. Yes, million. It sounds crazy, but it's true. Now, let me tell you a personal story about my experience with finding rare coins. A few years ago, I was going through a pile of change from a garage sale, the kind where you buy a coffee mug and hope you find a diamond in the rough. Well, I ended up finding a 1970s penny that was, well, just a regular penny. But I didn't know that at the time. I held on to it for weeks, thinking it was my ticket to a private island. I got it appraised, and you know what the appraiser said? This is worth like 2 cents. Not even $2, just 2 cents. I was crushed. So, lesson learned. Always check your coins thoroughly, and never get your hopes up over just any old penny. But with this 2016 D double die penny, things are different. If you find one, you're in luck. Let me break it down. How do you spot this million-dollar gem? Check the date and mint mark. You'll want to find a 2016 penny, specifically with the D mint mark. That's the one struck at the Denver Mint. Easy enough, right? It's on the back of the penny. right under e pluribus unum. Inspect Lincoln's face. The error shows as a doubling in Lincoln's eyes, nose, and chin. It's subtle, but if you get up close, you should be able to notice it. If it looks like your penny's been to the spa and got a second facelift, bingo, get it appraised. It's worth taking it to a professional to make sure you're not just seeing double. Trust me, it'll be worth the small investment to know if you've got a hidden treasure. And there you have it. That's how you spot a potentially $2.2 million penny. Simple, right? Alright, so to sum up, keep your eyes peeled for those 2016 D Mint Mark pennies. If you find one with a double die error, you might just be on your way to making some serious cash. And who knows, you could be the next coin collector sensation. Just remember, if you're like me, sometimes you'll find something that's totally not worth millions. But hey, we can still dream, right? Before you run off to search through all your spare change, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more coin collecting tips and strategies. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more ways to turn pocket change into something incredible. And hey, if you find that $2.2 million penny, don't forget to share the wealth. But seriously, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, share it with a friend, and tell me in the comments, what's the craziest coin you've ever found? I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with more coin collecting tips that could change your life. Or at least fill your wallet with a few more quarters.